So welcome to my third video log on skills and capacities. The video log will focus on the overhead squat technique, which is quite a demanding movement that requires a high level of both mobility and stability throughout the whole kinetic chain in order to be executed correctly. I will be looking at the movement of two different subjects to highlight if there is a skill or an capacity issue that is responsible for them adopting a suboptimal movement strategy. So this is Chelsea, and she's unable to meet the desired movement mainly due to a skill issue. It's quite clear that Chelsea's actually quite good at performing the overhead squat, considering she doesn't actually include this movement in any training sessions she does at all, so is not familiar with the movement pattern, but she does regularly perform back squats. So from this lateral view here, we can see that the range of motion Chelsea achieves is quite good. She can squat to around 90 degrees, which indicates there are no real capacity restrictions regarding the ankle, knee, and hip joint. So again, just from a side view here, I've slowed down the video so it's easier for you to see that Chelsea initiates the descent. There is a clear delay between hip and knee flexion. Although it's obvious she can hip hinge well, the hip and knee flexion should really occur simultaneously, and currently it's a little bit disjointed regarding movement pattern. The movement pattern she's adopted might be due to previous coaching Chelsea's had when first learning to squat, or the fact that she's not able to actually recruit the associated muscles in the required sequence, both of which obviously are considered to be a skill issue. So Chelsea is considered tall for a female athlete, and due to this limb length, it is clear she's trying to keep her centre of mass close by leaning forward, which you can see from this line I've put in. I believe the trunk lean is more of a skill issue, as Chelsea has a good level of flexibility, therefore could sit lower into the squat, which would change her centre of mass and allow her to maintain more of a vertical trunk position. If verbal cues don't improve the skill, engaging in squats similar to this shown here would allow Chelsea to understand the movement needed to keep her back straight to achieve the required depth. So from the side view here, you can see that there's a posterior rotation of the pelvis occurring. As this is happening at the bottom of the squat, it could be a capacity issue regarding limited flexibility in the hamstrings, which would obviously then be pulling the pelvis posteriorly. So just to summarise, these are the two main factors that are skill related that are responsible for Chelsea's incorrect movement. So this is Joey, our second subject that has clear capacity issues that are preventing him from adopting the correct movement patterns in the overhead squat. Joey has limited range of motion at the majority of his joints, and despite performing regular stretches, minimal progress has been seen regarding flexibility, especially at the hip and the shoulder. So not only could this be a muscular issue regarding capacity, but also a structural problem, so it could be joint articulations and ligament stiffness, which is causing this hypomobility. So even though Joey is performing this with a dowel, it is clear that he is struggling to get into the correct positions. Adding additional weight, such as a 20-kilogram bar, for example, would mean Joey's ability to meet these optimal movement strategies would be compromised further, as the body will always favour stability over mobility, mainly due to the protective proprioceptors at joints. So as I said, the hip and shoulder joints are the two that are most affecting Joey's ability to squat. It is clear he can't get parallel during the descent, and both the combination of the lack of flexibility at these joints are causing this excessive forward lean that you could see in this still image here. Due to the lack of capacity, Joey is unable to meet the optimal depth at the end of the descent. It's clear one of the main differences between the two subjects is range of motion available. Joey struggles with shoulder flexion a lot, whereas Chelsea clearly has no restrictions at the glenohumeral or scapulothoracic joints, which in turn allows her to move into the starting positions a lot more easier, which then means that less compensatory movements do occur. So I think it's important to summarise that there is an interdependent relationship between skills and capacity issues in both the subjects, especially regarding flexibility, stability and coordination. And even though both of the subjects are not familiar with the overhead squat, the reasons for a suboptimal movement strategy occurring are very different.